Hi, welcome to today's video and thanks for joining me. Today we're going to be talking about the number one mistake that people make as they go into retirement or even before, just planning for retirement. This is an important video if you're near retirement or just going into retirement. If you are not doing this, then this is the biggest mistake you are making. So pay attention to the video. Hope you like it. Put your comments below. Let's get into why you're here today. Okay, I'm going to get right to it. I'm not going to save it to the very end. The number one mistake you're making is not having a written retirement plan or financial plan. This is by far the biggest mistake, and I'm going to prove it to you when I show you the screens, some of the planning software. I'm going to show you exactly the before and after so you'll know exactly what we're talking about here. So the number one mistake is not having a written retirement plan or financial plan. It's guessing as to when you think might be the right time to begin your CPP or old age security or QPP if you're in Quebec. Again, this number, I did a video just before this video where I talked about the start date for a lot of CPPs, and surprisingly most people over the last decade are taking CPP right away at age 60 without questioning at all whether or not it might be better if we delay a little bit. I think it has to do with this idea of, you know, I've been paying into it all my life and I want it now, and who knows how long I'm going to be living. So there's some math behind why you'd want to examine in a financial plan or retirement plan when would be the optimal age for you to take CPP and old age security. And then of course the other one that I see is just not having a strategy around withdrawals. This says RRSP withdrawals that you see here, but just in general, not really understanding which accounts you should draw from. I hear it all across the board. Some people say take the non-registered first, or take the TFSA withdrawals first to keep your RRSP withdrawals lower, but you might have 600,000 or $1 million in an RRSP. I've even had $3 million in a plan in an RRSP, and that's $150,000 a year withdrawal in most cases. So people really don't have a good understanding about how much money you should be taking and when and on which accounts. So this by far is the most important thing. So let's get into what happens when you don't have a plan. What you're going to see here is, I hope it's remarkable for you because I see it all the time. So even though I see it all the time, it still hasn't lost its luster. I think it's remarkable what happens, the transformation that exists when you do a plan. Your life is completely organized. You have very little anxiety about your money anyway. You might have anxiety about leaving work and what your schedule looks like, but it won't be around money. So paying unnecessary tax bills, reduced old age security benefits, these are what happens when you don't have a plan. So your tax is all over the place. Your income is all over the place. 1 year it's high, 1 year it's low. 1 year you have a tax burden, 1 year you don't have a tax burden. And then your old age security is lower because of perhaps because of a clawback on your benefits. So that's what happens when you don't have a plan. So let's show you exactly in a plan how that looks. So you'll notice here, this is a plan where a client will give me their assets and liabilities, all their expenses. I give them a form. This is like a about 10 or 12 page form. It goes into give me the balances of your RRSPs, TFSAs, your LIRAs, your LIFs, all your investment accounts. Let's talk about how much expenses you're going to need in retirement. What are some of the big ticket items like replacing a car or doing renovations or travel? Those are things, helping your kids out with their deposits or on the first home or weddings. Those are pretty big ticket items, so we put those in. Namely because when we talked about your income fluctuating and expenses fluctuating and taxation fluctuating, when you're putting in the thing like, hey, we're going to spend $20K on our kid's wedding, or we're going to give $100,000 to our son to help him to buy a house, we're going to buy an $80,000 car, and you see these kinds of things that are maybe in the same year and you weren't thinking about, you're just thinking about, we'd like to do this, and then we put it in the software. As you can see on the left hand side, we've got years and age and so on. I'm not showing the expenses in this column, but what you'll find is I'll make it aware to you that, hey, you're planning on doing this big renovation cost in the same year that you're replacing your car. So either we're going to have some kind of saving strategy along the way to put money aside because if you pull that amount of money out of your investments in 1 year, it might spike your tax, right? So we go through those kinds of things. So what I'm going to show you here is just an example. If you look in the middle of the column, those are the financial assets. You have RSP, you've got a locked-in retirement account and a LIRA, and there's also off the page there's a TFSA. And this person doesn't have a strategy for their withdrawals. They just said, I think I'm going to take CPP at 65. That seems like a right age. And I might make some contributions after 65 because I'm not sure. I'm thinking that I might have some, part-time employment earnings that I'll just make these small RSP contributions. As you can see right there in the middle of the page, the RSP contributions at age 66, 67, 60, they're just making some small RSP contributions because maybe they've got some part-time income that they're planning. And so they're going into retirement and thinking they don't have enough money, so they're going to work a little bit longer and make some RSP contributions. And then at age 71, convert the RSP to a RIF. And age 72, you can see that magenta color. You've got 25,000, 26,000, 26,000. Those are the withdrawals coming out of their RIF at that point, and that's the minimum withdrawal for that amount of money. And then if you look to the right of that, you've got a locked-in RSP, some money coming out of that as well. And then there's a LIRA starting much later. They're just saying, I'm not going to take the LIRA earlier, I'm going to take it later. And like all of these withdrawal strategies there's no strategy to it at all. And how you can tell is you go back to the left and look at the tax rates and the taxable income. So if you look at the effective tax rate column, you see they're working this part-time from age 66 to 71, and so their tax rate is about 10%, between 9 and 10%. And then they hit retirement full on at age 72, and they have all these withdrawals coming out of their account, and you can see it jumps to 16.5%. So their effective tax rate. And then you look at their income is going from what was 64,000 working part-time, then 87,000, then 109, 112, 114, 118. So it's gradually going up, which is fine because you want it to go up with inflation. You're going to have some higher income as inflation is there. So too, you need to have more income to pay for those things. That's fine. But you can see that the tax rate is kind of all over the place. Back to that effective tax rate, you go from 10 to 11 to 16 to 19. It's just kind of messy, right? And when it's like that, you pay more tax. It's just that clear. So now I'm going to lead you into what happens when you do get a plan. These couple, they're happy, they're smiling. The tax bill is, hopefully it's much lower. So let's look at the same plan, but just having an effective withdrawal. So the first thing, optimizing your withdrawal timing out of which accounts you're going to do your withdrawals, how much you're going to do the withdrawals, coordinating income for both spouses. So you look at how much money one spouse has versus the other spouse, and then you're going to be trying to time things like pension income splitting. So it's very useful for spouses. And then forecasting cash flow and tax, the impact of those withdrawals. So when you put all that together, it kind of looks like this. Same numbers, but now we've pushed CPP off to age 70. You can see the withdrawals in the middle of the page are much higher and starting earlier. Forget about this idea of working part-time and talk to the client. Say, look, you actually have enough money to retire and you need to get on your horse here and start doing withdrawals or you'll leave money behind. I'm cutting it off at the bottom of the page at age 80 because there's just not room to go down to age 85, 86, 87. So just know that all their money has gone out of the RIF. We've done withdrawals. We've pushed that money into the tax-free savings account, into non-registered accounts. That's what happens when you do your withdrawals out of your RIF. It overflows. What you're not spending goes into your tax-free savings account, which you see on the right-hand side. And what you're not spending or whatever you've contributed, if there's excess after putting your money in your TFSA, it just goes likely into a joint non-registered account. But you can see here the LIRA is started much earlier here as well, as you can see. So we're starting at age 65. We're doing maximum withdrawals in the LIRA. It's now a LIF, trying to get out of the LIF before they pass away. The RRSP withdrawal strategy is much higher, but you'll notice it's not always the same amount. It's fluctuating, It has to be dynamic because we want to pay attention to that effective tax rate. And if you look at that effective tax rate, it's level all the way through their retirement. It's not going up and down, up and down. And then you can see their taxable income as well. It's going up each year, starting off higher to accommodate their lifestyle spending. So remember, this person thought they had to work part-time in retirement to afford their lifestyle. And through the discussions that we have, say, no, actually you have enough money. In fact, look, watch the income that comes off of your portfolio. Remember, I've said in videos before, it's not the total amount of money that you have, it's about the income stream. How much income can you generate from your assets on top of CPP and old age security? So we see here right away from age 64, we've got 83,000, 90, 99, 103. You see that that's going up slightly each year to increase to be able to pay for the lifestyle expenses. That is a tax efficient withdrawal strategy. And what does it look like on the opposite end? Let's compare no scenario, that's the base scenario, no withdrawal strategy, I should say, on the base scenario, and then actually doing a withdrawal scenario. This client's actually managing their money for them, so that's why it says assets under David. So what is the difference? Well, they've increased their government benefits, that CPP and old age security, by almost $350,000. So they're going to receive $350,000 more throughout their lifetime of government benefits as compared to what they were thinking before, which was at age 65. Their financial assets, as you go all the way to the bottom, the last two really, they had, if you look at the base scenario, $570,000 of taxes. Because they were delaying their RRSP withdrawals and only doing RRIF minimums, they were going to leave money behind for CRA to tax them, about $570,000. And we've got that down to $65,000 of taxes. So that saved them just over $500,000 of taxes on their estate. And they also end up having $1.2 million more in their estate for their beneficiaries. That's what's happening when you're doing a retirement plan with an advisor that does retirement planning. I'm not talking about going to an advisor that says, yeah, I can do that for you. And I'm talking about somebody who does this every single day. That's their job, that's their living. Then you'll see these kinds of outcomes when you do planning with an advisor that does retirement planning and has a software for you. So that is a significant difference over their no strategy and having a strategy. Do you want to have more money from government OAS and CPP, $350,000 more? Do you want to not pay $500,000 in taxes on your estate and thereby giving an extra $1.2 million to your beneficiaries? Who wouldn't want that? Of course, it makes sense, right? Okay, I'm glad you tuned into this video. It's great to see you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks, and be well.